our seventh and final coach today, and as Frank alluded to it, Coach Alberici and Army, he too entering his 8th season at West Point. The Black Knights 7-8 last season, 4-2 in the Patriot League, qualified for the league tournament but fell in the semifinals to Lehigh. The roster includes up front a senior preseason All-League selection in Garrett Thule, who was a Tewaaraton Trophy candidate a year ago. And also on the roster is the defending Patriot League Scholar Athlete of the Year on defense, also a preseason All-League selection, Brendan Buckley. Coach Alberici, your opening statement, please. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Sure. I'd like to start off by saying, James, I liked it a little bit better in years past when Army got to go first. Not sure there's much for me to say right now. Other than we're very excited here at West Point, for this challenging 2013 season. When I look at that Patriot League and listen to the coaches who've gone before me, and all great coaches who've just done tremendous things with their program already, and they're just at different stages of it, but have done great things. I know Jimmy Rogalski's going to do a great job with the Lafayette program. It's very motivating as I sit here because, I've got a lot of respect for those coaches and the way they go about their business and how well they recruit, how well they coach their guys. And we know here at West Point there's just going to be a big challenge in front of us. And as I said previously, we're excited for that. And we've got a nice mix of some returning veteran guys and a lot of youth that's going to need to fill a lot of holes that the seniors left behind. But we're working hard, as all programs are at this point, and our expectations are high, and we set them high. That's kind of the West Point way, and certainly the West Point lacrosse way is to put the bar up high and really strive to attain them. So that's where we're at now, and I'll open up for any questions.
Coach Alberici, Terry Foy from Inside Lacrosse. In Garrett Thule and Brendan Buckley, who were mentioned as all-league players, you really do have some of the foremost stars at their position in the entire country, much less the league. What are your thoughts on the identity of this team, kind of starting with those two and then building out? Is that a fair characterization, or do you think that there's more? How would you say that there might be more to it than that?
Well, Terry, thanks for the question. You certainly identified two fine players, two great leaders, two of our three captains in our program that have meant a lot to our program over the years, have been consistent performers. And I think to be strong at both of those ends, Brendan Buckley in what I feel is a very, very talented league, as we know, but also a very talented and deep attack league. When I look at the number of attackmen that were left, great attackmen that were left off of the all-league ballot, preseason all-league, it really speaks to the depth and the volume of great attackmen in this league. So to have someone like Brendan, who is a very capable defender, a tough kid, a tremendous all-around cadet athlete, that's reassuring, and he's a great mentor and teacher, which we'll need down there. He certainly is kind of going to be the rock of which we build the defense off of, and Garrett on the other end, to be hovering around those 40 goals for 3 straight years, is a real mark of consistency, in somebody that I think through this fall has strived to get better. And, in this early preseason, I think he is better. I think he is a better player, a better all-around player. He's invested in some different aspects of the game. So, those are two standout guys, but that's not going to help. Those two guys alone aren't going to take us to where we want to go. I think that the story of our program is going to be the story of our success will be about the guys that nobody knows about right now, and hopefully they know about them at the end of the year. If nobody knows about them at the end of the year, then we will not have had a successful season. simply put. So, I think those guys are going to show the way, but it's going to be a lot more about all of the other players and how they're able to step up and meet the moment.
Hey, Joe, Eddie Timanis here. How are you?
Great, Eddie. How are you?
I'm doing good. We've those of us who've been watching the sport for a long time have watched you kind of go from the new kid on the block to now the veteran coach in the league. But along with us, we've kind of seen you kind of watched the whole rest of the league, I think, kind of step up and make the Patriot League certainly among the most competitive in the conference. What has in your view been the biggest key to that? Is it just schools kind of devoting to it? Is it the coaching, a combination of everything? How have you kind of seen that develop?
Yeah, that's a hard one to put your finger on, or I think a little bit of shortcut to thinking if you're just going to put it in one thing or another. Let's start with the institutions getting a greater understanding of the way that the sport of lacrosse is growing and growing on a national level and how it's being covered media-wise, and really seeing their opportunity to make a name for themselves on the national level in athletics. And you see a lot of a lot of schools in the Patriot League. That this is lacrosse is a prime way to do that because it's just a good fit. So I think there's an institutional commitment that Kevin spoke of earlier that has permeated the league. I think you're seeing a lot of great coaches in this league. Some that have left, a lot that are here, and they have done a tremendous job on the field. But also a tremendous job in recruiting. And, it's not always that a Patriot League team necessarily has to out-scheme a team out of the conference in order to beat them. When you start putting players on the field like some of the programs have here, they're unlike anybody else, and I don't care what conference you go to. There's players in this conference that are just clearly, no matter who they play against, would be the best player on the field. So, to the coach's credit and the way they've recruited and then the way they've utilized those players, I think would be, the other side of it that has helped, the programs across the board just be better and more nationally competitive.
Hey, Joe, Ken McMillan, Times Herald Record. Hey, Joe, just give me your general sense of your team this year. How do you feel about this group? How was their fall, and how have they started out the preseason?
Well, I think we had a good fall. We had a good fall. There's bad taste left in our mouth from being 7-8. I think there's a lot of successes behind it and some tough losses there. But in the end, you're 7-8, and that's not the standard here in Army lacrosse. So we were pretty motivated throughout the fall. Finished and culminated with some good scrimmages. I think some things that we took some positive away from. That carried us through. Good post-fall workouts that took us up into finals, and we're a couple weeks in practice, and our guys have been motivated. They've been very competitive with one another, and I think they're real eager to see another color jersey and I know I am too, to kind of get a little better gauge on what we're really good at. I think you battle all the time in practice, and you score a goal, and it's hard to know if you're good offensively or you're just not that good defensively. And conversely, if you're defending well, is it your offensive guys just don't have it. So we've got a couple scrimmages against some top 20 teams coming up here, and hopefully they'll show us what we need to do better and have us prepared for our February 9th opener against UMass.
Did you find that you had to kind of scramble the lineup a little bit heading into this spring season with your graduation losses? And could you also address losing Derek Sipperly and Zach Palmieri?
Yeah, the latter there, Ken, I think remains to be seen. We think that in the face-off acts, we had a young man who really performed very well in Alex Daly at the prep school. We think he's got a lot of potential, but Matt Mezzer really had stepped up his game. He was kind of in the shadows of Derek Sipperly, and I thought Derek not only had a tremendous year on the field, did a great job of mentoring those guys beneath him too. So we had some of that show for us this past fall, and hopefully that's going to be something that we can hang our hat on as a good face-off group again this year. In the goal, Zach, after 3 years of in the shadows of Tom Pileski, had a fine senior year. It was happy for him to get that opportunity, and performed well for us. We're looking to Sam Somers. It looks like in the early season right now as our guy, and Sam comes off a accomplished high school career and had a good freshman year. And was a very capable backup for certain, and but as we all know, it's a long jump to becoming that starter and have that concentration and focus for 60 minutes, and in a lot of occasions in which we play in seems to be more than 60 minutes. You got to be able to be that guy. So, but we're excited for Sam and also some guys that are in behind him and really pushing him, and Bobby Sincero and Evan Dennehy, a couple more veteran guys are right there too. So it's keeping things competitive in the goal.
And did you feel like you had to scramble your lineups, or are you still kind of trying to establish those units?
Yeah, we are still trying to establish the units. I think that there was a lot of with the graduation. Looking back, almost every single one of those guys had some role on game day. Some very significant, some maybe a little bit less significant, but they all had a role. So we've got a lot of new faces. Probably maybe more so than at any other time. There's just going to be some just different numbers running around out there, but we feel really good about it. I think there's some guys that are some freshmen that are going to be able to come in and help us. They're not going to have to carry the heavy burden, but they'll be able to help us. And then we feel like there's some more veteran guys that just hadn't had their opportunity, or had only had limited opportunity, that have shown in this early season to be very good. So like many of us think at this time, we think we have some depth, and we're excited about that. That remains to be seen as we start to get into these battles, how deep we can go.
And as Coach Federaca was talking about, can you talk about the rules changes and how you think it affects the game and your team?
Yeah, I think that there's still a little bit of mystery around it, even having played in the fall, and you try to practice as much as you can within the new rules and in the up-tempo style. We noticed in the fall, as much as changed, there was still a lot that was the same. It probably didn't change quite as much. But now that what the fall didn't show you is when you start to scheme for one another, because in the fall you don't do that, or most programs don't. We don't. As you start to scheme for one another, that the rules may come more into play. And, we're doing our best to go through a lot of those scenarios. I think it's just gonna still come down to, even with the new rules, Ken, the better teams, the better prepared teams, the teams that are about the little things, are going to be the most successful. So I don't think that they'll have that drastic of an impact in any program.
Coach, this is Ed Lee with the Baltimore Sun. Same question I asked Coach Federaca. Can you talk about the impact of Loyola joining the league next year?
Yeah, we're excited about it. That was exciting news in the fall. Ed, I haven't given that too much thought here in the last couple months. That's for next year's headache. Actually, we seem to have on our plate right now. But Loyola and BU, who I see as a team that's going to be very competitive, very quickly. I think that's a real positive for the Patriot League. It certainly makes the road more difficult to championship here at West Point, but I do see it as a real positive because I think we've always played a very difficult schedule. Our guys will be prepared for that, and we'll be excited to take on a national champion.